Welcome to Behind the Catch Fence. I'm your host, as always, David Hoffman. The U.S. Nationals are officially next up on the NHRA calendar, which means our coverage kicks into high gear. And we got a lot of interviews lined up for you guys over the next week to help you get ready for the 70th edition of the U.S. Nationals. So you'll want to hit that subscribe button to stay tuned for everything. Now for today, six-time NHRA Pro Stock champion Erica Enders joins us. Her resume just speaks for itself. 6 world titles, 3 U.S. national wins, nearly 50 career victories, and she's just transcended the sport in more ways than one. Now today we're talking all about the U.S. Nationals, her trials and triumphs at Indy, what makes the event so unique, and much more. So without further delay, sit back and grab yourself a really good snack and enjoy this episode with Erica Enders. What are you doing on this off weekend? Is there more prep or what's kind of, because I know some drivers are kind of on vacation or what are you up to?
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm not one of them. I've been gone for 25 days. I got back on Monday from Brainerd and I turned around and I spent the last 2 days in Dallas doing a media tour for our upcoming race there. And then back in the office today, and then I leave this evening. So it's just you're just kind of all over the place, you know?
I guess you kind of get used to it after a while, but
I'd rather be gone and busy than sitting with an idle mind. So
that's a good point. So
yeah.
yeah, I wanted to talk about the U.S. Nationals. Obviously, 70th anniversary is a big deal for the sport, and you're a three-time winner there. So I just wanted to hear your thoughts on that event. So it's kind of going into it a little bit. Just how would you describe go all the way back to the beginning, your first time at the U.S. Nationals? What was that experience like, and was there anything that kind of caught you off guard with it?
So I have obviously a lot of memories, but a handful that stand out. I started my career racing junior dragsters, and they had the inaugural Junior Dragster Nationals in Indy in 1994. So we made that trip up there, and unfortunately, I red lit in the finals, so I runnered up at our first national event with the junior deal. So that's obviously a fond memory. Me and my whole family went, my mom, my dad, my sister. And we had a blast. And then, fast forwarding, obviously we would go every year. When I turned 16, I started racing Super Comp and Super Gas, and we went to Indy my rookie season there. And I think there was like 174 entries in Super Comp, and we got down to 3 cars, which was really, really awesome. So that's another one that stands out to me. And then obviously the firsts are always the best. Our first Indy win in 2015 in Pro Stock. So I know that's probably a mouthful and a long answer to your question, but just to sum it up, a lot of really fond memories there. As you know, the U.S. Nationals is our Super Bowl of drag racing, and it's a marathon, right? You're there for a week, and there's a ton of events going on, and then the drag races. An extra day. We actually run the finals on Monday at the U.S. Nationals. So definitely looking forward to it. Get through this weekend and then wake up Monday morning and it's Indy week. And I don't know how the time passes so quickly. I feel like we weren't there very long ago. So, but anyway, glad to have another shot at a U.S. Nationals title, and we're going to give it our all.
And what is it kind of about Indy that, you said you're there for a full week. There's so much going on, so much to kind of like comprehend. Just what is it about that place that makes it not only special to compete at, but also, to have success at?
Uh, I don't know if I can put my finger on it, but I will tell you when you roll in the gate, the feeling is different. And even in 2020 COVID year, when we raced at Indy like 4 or 5 times, we were able to win the real U.S. Nationals. A couple of my teammates won the other Indy events leading up to that. But even when we were there for like a handful of weeks racing, when we got there for the U.S. Nationals, I don't know if it's a mindset or the gravity that comes with it. It's just different, and you can feel it when you pull in the gate, and it's just so important to everyone, and it's hard to explain to an outsider what it feels like on the inside, and it's just it's intense and it's awesome. You can tell by my face, I love it.
That smile's probably not going to go away at all during the week either.
Hopefully not. Hopefully
Yeah.
it's bigger on Monday afternoon.
Right. And I've read before that, just winning at Indy, almost defines a driver's career. Why is that?
Um, I guess because it's the pinnacle of the sport. Even like Shirley Muldowney, who's the first lady of drag racing, like her literal email address is like I won Indy blah 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 at something.com, and it shows how important it is to everybody, even a legend like her. So it can make you, it can break you. I remember again, I'll touch on that 15 win. Like I started racing in 92. And so we were over 30 years deep, and we finally got our first professional win. My crew chiefs at the time, Ricky Jones and Mark Ingersoll, Rick came down there, and he's as tough as nails, and he was crying. And, he said, I've been trying to win this race for 50 years. And it just shows you what it means to everyone. And at that event in 2015, we tied Shirley Muldowney for all-time wins at 18. And to me, that doesn't seem that long ago. And now we're trying to break through this number 50 barrier. And it has been like a pain in our butt. And we can't seem to get that monkey off of our back. But I will tell you that I have a renewed sense of confidence in myself and my equipment. We did some work on it before the match race in Wisconsin, and then the national event in Brainerd. So I feel a lot better in the car. I feel like we've had the car to beat all year, and unfortunately, I've let a handful of them slip through my fingers with driver error. So that sucks. And I'm ready to go back to battle and prove myself again. And I feel like what better race to do it at than Indy, and win Indy, right, for our fourth time, and then finally get that number 50. That would be really significant for us.
And probably be the best place to get 50 would be at Indy.
Yeah, I feel like everything we do is a story, or we're really good with numbers and meaningful numbers. So I'm hopeful that's part of God's plan. If it's not, we'll just keep plugging away at it and see if we can get it done before the end of the year. But this is our last preseason race. Indy's worth points and a half, and then the countdown to the championship starts in Reading the week following. So we have to have all our ducks in a row and tame the squirrels that are running around with their heads cut off, and just make sure everything is going in the right direction. So I'm obviously hopeful for all that, but I also do feel really confident in all of those things. So we'll see what happens.
You kind of mentioned 2015. Obviously, you had some pretty close calls before. I think in 2012, almost. It's to finally break through after a couple years. At the U.S. Nationals, you kind of mentioned it with the crew and everyone, like how emotional that was. Just how much of a relief was that for you as a driver to finally be able to break through with that?
Well, in 2012, the way things happened in that final, and I don't want to go down that negative road, but it was an awful experience where I had teammates that did some things that weren't right, to ensure that we didn't win. And at that point, it broke my heart. I didn't understand it, but when we secured our victory in 2015, like when I prayed that night, I was just like, I understand. Like, you have to trust God's timing, and I'm real big on my faith. But when you go through something that gut wrenching, and you kind of wonder if you're ever going to have another opportunity, right? Like to be in the finals at the U.S. Nationals, you really have to capitalize on it and give it your all. And when we lost that year, I was absolutely devastated. But when we won just a few years later in 2015, I was so thankful, and I thanked him for that, because as a Christian, you have to trust his timing. And it was awesome to be able to get that significant win with a group of people that I trusted and that I loved, and they loved me back. So it was worth the wait for sure.
And that's the hard thing. It's like you'll pray about it, then it's like, all right, is it now? And then you're like, wait, my timing is totally different from from his timing. And
It
it's
is.
just tough
We're
sometimes. But
impatient, and we're in a hurry,
yeah.
and he's got it all lined out. And that trusting part is the challenging part. But when it did happen, it was one of those unique moments where, like, I understood. I was like, okay, I got it. I'll shut up now. But it was really cool to get it done with a group of people that I cared about.
And we've kind of talked about it a little bit, just it's from a mental and physical aspect. How have you kind of had to adjust your preparations just to ensure that you're as ready to go as possible, specifically for Indy, because I'm sure that's more mentally taxing as well.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mentioned struggling through this summer, obviously with my reaction times. So this car is new to me this year. I won 4 championships out of 5 years in my other car, which my teammate Jerry Don Tucker's driving, and it has Outlaw beer on the side of it now. But that was like that was my baby, that car was. So getting reacquainted with a new piece of equipment is definitely challenging. And I've not fit real well. I've had a couple of seats poured. I've torn the pedals out and the floorboard out, like trying to configure everything to mimic what it was in my old car. And all that stuff kind of, it sounds like an excuse or sounds tedious and like, why would you do that? But like being comfortable, and even if it's a placebo effect, like if I can get my head right and I feel better in the car, then it's worth whatever we've done. So I've been kind of nitpicking at that throughout this year, and I finally feel like my trip to Rick Jones Race Cars before the Brainerd National really changed everything around. We went to the match race in Rock Falls, and we were able to win with my JHG Camaro, which was awesome, and I had good lights there. And then in Brainerd, off the trailer, I'm 008 and 10, and my worst light of the weekend was 30 something, and that was better than my best light throughout this summer. So I definitely, when I talked about getting a little confidence back, I definitely feel better, and the numbers are showing me that I'm right, like in a sense. So there's my renewed sense of hope and confidence, and there's no better way to have all that in line than to be the week before Indy. So I'm thankful that we figured all that out. But to long answer to your question, like that was a huge work in progress, like a couple of months time to try to figure that out. But the way that the point system is structured, with the countdown to the championship being so significant, it's the final six that really matters. So you have the regular season to kind of like test things, to get your tire counts ready, to have your motors in order. Like, and when you have a team as big as ours, week in and week out, we have about 7 cars. We'll have 9 in Indy. So there's a lot of moving parts and pieces and a lot of planning that has to go into it to make sure that we're prepared. And that's kind of where we feel like we win races before we leave the shop, because we're prepared as possible. We're super organized. We know what's going on. And Richard has put people in places where they can excel and doesn't really get intertwined in all that. He lets them go do their job. And that's why we've been successful here at Elite. So the process of planning and preparing is one thing. The mental aspect of it, from a driver's cockpit, is like 90% of it. You have to believe in yourself. You have to be confident. You have to visualize exactly what you want to happen. So all of those things obviously have to come together at the right time, and that's obviously a feat in itself. So I feel like we have all our ducks in a row, and I'm excited about the week that's coming up. But the mental preparation, the physical preparation, all of that stuff plays a huge role in it.
I've kind of heard, kind of going along those lines, I've heard a few drivers say it's, pretty easy to get psyched out by the magnitude of Indy and everything else. And maybe that's the difference between winning or losing or a light or whatever it may be. Just, I mean, how do you harness those emotions in such a big event like Indy? And, was it hard at first, or did you kind of get it? Or how was that kind of for you when you first
No,
started?
that's a great question. That's a work in progress, and you have to learn to win. You have to learn how to put together winning races. One round, one at a time. Yes, your eye is on the prize at the end of the day, right? But in order to get there, there's a lot of things that have to go right, and a lot of things that you have to keep from going wrong. So, pressure is a crazy thing. It does a lot to the human mind. It does a lot physically to your body. Rolling up for a world championship or for the U.S. Nationals, like you pull into the staging lanes, and any driver would be lying if they told you that they were just like easy breezy about it. Like you could literally throw up at any second because of what it means to everybody. So being able to accept the pressure, and not just accept it, but perform well under it, that's 2 totally different things. And people fall apart in the countdown because they can't handle it. And it's not something, I don't know this for a fact, but in my opinion, I don't think it's something that people have naturally. You have to acquire it. You have to go through those experiences to be able to channel that negative energy into something that you want, and make it something that you thrive on, if that makes sense. Like I would rather have to race Greg Anderson first round or Jeg Coughlin first round than to go up, and nothing against a number 16 qualifier, because I've been that guy before, but like to know that you have somebody outrun by 5, 6, 7 hundredths or a tenth, compared to being outrun by somebody strong like Greg Anderson or Jake Coughlin. Like, I would rather that. Like, I want to know going up there that this is what I have to do to win. And you just, when you don't race guys like that, you kind of have to channel that energy too, and just pretend like every single round is the final round for a national event or for a world championship. So those are all things like that. I feel like seat time gets you, that those high pressure situations make you into that person. And again, it wasn't something that I had, in my young career. It's something that we acquired over the years. And now it's like, it's welcomed. Like, I love the countdown and I love the pressure and I love proving people wrong. Like, those are the things that like light my fire. And I love that. So that's a really good question.
And final question for me, just besides the racing aspect, because obviously we all love racing, just for you at Indy, just what's your favorite part of just being there? And besides the racing part, just is there a specific like thing that you guys do every year, or place you go, or what would it be with the fans, or whatever it may be?
Um, I mean, over the years, again, there's so many really great memories, but Indy is a place that like everybody in the country goes to. So you get to see friends that you've raced with on the East Coast and the West Coast, and everybody's at Bowling Green this week, and going into Indy, they'll be there as well. So being able to see your friends and family from across the country is something that's really cool. For the last handful of years, we stay at the same hotel with a couple of different teams that we're friends with. So that kind of camaraderie away from the racetrack is really cool and important. And we always try Indy, so we always try to like get over to St. Elmo's or Izzy's or something to have a good supper. And it's Indy. It's fun and it's exciting. And all of our sportsman cars are going to be there. All of our Pro Stock cars are going to be there. Our Pro Mod cars are going to be there. So, and then again, we're running nine NHRA 500-inch Pro Stock cars. So it'll be like all hands on deck. I've got like 60 guys on the road full time, and kind of like a traveling circus, but it's a lot of fun. And when we roll in that gate, when the guys get there on Wednesday and we get there on Thursday, it's just like balls to the wall, game on, and I'm excited about it.
Well, hopefully everything goes well. And with the countdown as well. And I appreciate you taking the time, Erica. And hopefully the rest of the season goes well. And maybe you'll hoist a couple more Walkleys in the process. Thanks again for watching episode 67 with Erica Enders. Now, prior to this year, I always knew of the US Nationals, but I always just kind of assumed it was just another race that happened to fall on Labor Day. And just for some of the drivers I've talked to, it's just certainly not your average race, that's for sure. The spectacle and just the history of the event that presents itself is seriously one of a kind, and it's definitely a place that we've got to head out to here in the next few years and just experience it firsthand. We appreciate Erica for joining us, and who knows, maybe her 50th career NHRA win will come at the biggest drag race in the world. Well, that's all the time we have for today's show. Make sure to comment below what your thoughts are on the show, and also hit that like and subscribe button. We're just getting started with US Nationals content. And watch out for multiple episodes next week. Yeah, I said it, multiple shows are coming. You do not want to miss any of them. It's going to be huge. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Thank you so much for checking us out. Have a great rest of your day. Go enjoy some racing, and I'll catch you guys later.